Hello, my name is Karen Gondoli and I am the CEO at Leostream. Today I'm very excited to introduce you to Leostream's integration with Amazon WorkSpaces Core Managed Instances. So why did we go this route? Well, what we've seen is that a lot of our customers are starting to move their workloads into the cloud. This helps them to scale. It's great for bursting. It's great if you want to store your data up there. Many different reasons that you might want to move to the cloud. But when you make that decision, now it actually gets pretty complex. Once you're in the cloud, maybe you have a hybrid environment, you have these diverse workloads that are both Windows, Linux, maybe also some Mac, could be a mixture of GPU and non-GPU workloads, multi-user sessions. This is a lot of different types of workloads to manage. And you could be managing them for a global workforce. Maybe that means different regions across the cloud. Maybe that means on-prem and cloud resources for a global workforce. That becomes also even more complex. And the key is that for all of these workflows, you want to provide consistent performance while also managing your cloud costs. Some of that managing the cloud costs, it's all about managing your capacity and managing your power states in the cloud. And obviously, if you need to do that manually and you're watching over a global workforce who's using what resources and are things idle that should need to be powered down, again, very complex, challenging environment to control. And then the last thing you need to think about if you're starting to move into the cloud is how do you license productivity tools? If you move particularly up into AWS, how do you ensure that if your users are Office 365 users, they can still use Office 365? Well, that is the beauty of Amazon WorkSpaces Core Managed Instances. And so what we added into Leostream was the ability to manage WorkSpaces Core Managed Instances alongside all of the EC2 compute management that we already had. And so now you have this one interface where you can manage both your EC2 and your WorkSpaces Core Managed Instances. We do also have support for regular WorkSpaces Core if that's what you're looking for as well. But it really helps you to meet the demands of your modern workforce, no matter where they happen to be located, no matter what types of resources they need to connect to. We do also support, obviously, the Amazon DCV protocol for connecting to these instances, both the workspaces and the EC2. This is a great option for you if you're moving into the cloud because Amazon DCV licensing is included as part of your EC2 and WorkSpaces Core Managed Instances compute costs. Amazon DCV is great for your GPU workloads. Obviously, it's a very high performance display protocol, but if you want to use RDP or Mac9 TGX, HP Anywhere with PC over IP, any of these display protocols are supported within Leostream as well. And then the other thing we give you is great automation. So you can spin up new instances when they're needed. You can terminate them if the user is done and you want to model a non-persistent workflow. Or you can have persistent machines and just use Leostream to automate power state. The whole idea is we want to make sure that your users always have the resources they need when they need them, but we don't want you to have to pay for them when the user doesn't need them. And then obviously one thing that's very important to all organizations, whether you're in the cloud or not, is security. And Leostream has many zero trust concepts worked into it, multi-factor authentication, browser-based connections if you need that. And with the Leostream gateway that we provide as part of the platform, you don't need a VPN ever. You can lock your instances into a private VPC in EC2, and we can use our gateway to connect users in. So why Leostream specifically? Well, we do have this unified management plane that is great for EC2 and workspaces, but also gives you that one plane where you can manage hybrid users and hybrid infrastructure. You can migrate your users between different solutions. You can manage different clouds. All of this can be done from the single Leostream platform. As I mentioned, we also do have the automation that allows you to improve utilization and cost. So it's not just about provisioning and power control, but by creating pools of machines within Leostream, you can share machines between users. So instead of buying a lot of machines, you just get a few, and we will allocate them appropriately based on who needs what and when and from where. That who needs what, when, and from where is points to the policy enforcement that we provide. There are many different options for plans and policies and access control, so you really do have a lot of control over who has access to the appropriate resources, and then we track it all. You'll always know who's logging in, how long they were connecting. You can monitor for if they're idle and automatically log them out. Many different ways to help you optimize your environment, again, in a way that's automated, so once everything's configured, it's more or less a set it and forget it kind of deal. And the last thing I will point out is why Leostream? We are very simple to deploy, particularly if you're looking in AWS. Both the Leostream connection broker and gateway are available in the marketplace, so you can launch instances that already have our software installed. If you want to see it in action really quickly, let's go over here. So here you see my EC2 account. This happens to be where I'm running my little demo environment. You can see that I have a Rocky machine, both broker and gateway, that I've spun up here. And I do have some instances that have already been provisioned by my Leostream broker, but let's show you how you can do that within our platform itself. You'll notice here I have some plain EC2 instances, and then I have one that's a WorkSpaces core managed instance, which is why if I look at the WorkSpaces interface, there I see that instance there as well. And this is the key for the Office 365 licensing and usage, as you want to have the WorkSpaces core instance there. From an end user perspective, well, let's say you do have some EC2 and some WorkSpaces core and maybe a hybrid environment with some on-prem resources as well. For the end user, it's very seamless for them to get access to all of this. I log in, and based on the access control rules that my IT department has defined, I will see the different machines that are available to me. Maybe they've given me options to restart machines or power them down if I know I'm done. And then obviously I want to be able to connect to them using whichever display protocol is appropriate for my needs. In this case, I think I might be launching the HTML5 viewer, but that can be a DCV connection. It can be whatever you need it to be. There, I mean, I'm logging in browser to that instance there. Now, how did IT set up rules to make this magic happen? To show you that, we'll log into the administrator web interface. So there are a lot of different options, a lot of different ways to set this up. I'm just going to highlight the integration with the EC2 Compute Cloud and also with Amazon WorkSpaces core, so you can see that. And to show you that, I go into Setup. So here in Setup, I create what we call centers. And a center is the third-party hosting platform where my instances live in this case. And so for EC2 and Amazon WorkSpaces core managed instances, all I need is to hook up to my EC2 region. So because my broker is running in Amazon, I can just attach an IAM role actually to the EC2 instance that's running the broker. And then that IAM role gives the broker all the permissions it needs to run the APIs, both EC2 and WorkSpaces, so that we can inventory what you have, both as far as instances and AMIs. What you do to integrate with WorkSpaces core is you would create a golden image inside of EC2, and then you would create an AMI from it. I should have a golden image in here. And then you would inventory all of that in the broker. And then from there, you can do all of your provisioning and capacity and power control within the Leostream environment. I will point out, you can also just inventory parts of your EC2 region out. We don't have to have access to everything. Tag things appropriately, and we'll just inventory what should be controlled by your Leostream environment. So once that center is created, here you see all the VMs that I've inventoried out of my EC2 region. And in the provisioning objects, you'll see the different AMIs that we have. Now to pre-populate, if what I want, for example, is 20 persistent Amazon WorkSpaces core instances, after I create that AMI in Amazon in EC2, I can simply come into our pools here and define a pool pretty much however you want it. I tend to use name because I have control over the VM name when I'm creating it. So here I'm going to create a pool of machines that start with the name KDG-core. And then down here, I'm going to ensure that I join those machines. These are windows. After I provision them, I want them to be joined to a domain. In this case, this actually is an AWS Directory Services, but you can use whatever AD domain you happen to have. And then I can enable provisioning and I can set my limit. So I said 20, but for simplicity, let's say 5. You notice right now there's only 1 in that pool, but I want to create 4 more technically really quickly, so I can just set my provisioning limits to 5 and then enter in a certain amount of the information that you would do when manually launching these through the Amazon console. So I can set names, deploy from image, indicate here if it's a WorkSpaces core managed instance or not. If it's not, then it's an EC2 instance that does not have an associated WorkSpaces core instance. Availability zones, set the network, all this different information, and then I just save that form. And now Leostream, I can go get coffee while Leostream does what it's going to do. And you can see in the log page what it's going to do. Here I can see that the provisioning has been kicked off, and now in EC2, I can refresh I'm on the instances. I can go to the instances and refresh that. And now I will see these instances being launched in EC2. Give them a second to show up because the first thing that happens is the workspace instance is created. So now I can see the new EC2 instances that are associated with those workspaces instances as well. And that's the key to the integration. After you have that, just create the center, create your pools, and then it's all the greatness that you get from Leostream between the access control rules and all of the security and the VPN-less access. If you want to give this a try, you can always reach out to us at sales@leostream.com. Thank you.